For more on the offensive in South Waziristan and the latest developments in Afghanistan, we're joined by Anthony Cordesman of the Center for Strategic and International Studies in Washington. Thank you very much for joining us on the program.
A pleasure.
There have been reports that some of the Taliban fighters in South Waziristan are Uzbeks and Arabs. What is the significance of that?
I think we have to understand that foreign volunteers have been involved in virtually every conflict in this region. These are almost something you expect. They've been inside Afghanistan, they've been to the north of Afghanistan and Pakistan. What we're watching are movements which no longer are purely national in character. Almost all of them have foreign volunteers, and the volunteers tend to go where the fighting is. So when you have fighting in South Waziristan, almost inevitably you find foreign volunteers there.
The Washington Post reported yesterday that hundreds of Taliban fighters had melted into the hills around South Waziristan. Does this mean that we can expect a much longer guerrilla war there? What kind of inroads is the Pakistani military making there anyway?
Well, it's a good question, and I think what people often don't understand is that it can take you about a year to find out, even if you win, whether it matters. The military uses the term mowing the grass. That means, yes, you had some successes, but in a week or so or a month or so, the grass grows back and you have to do it again. And the way that the Pakistani army is fighting so far, it makes it easy for the guerrillas and insurgents they're attacking to disperse. They're creating a massive refugee problem. It isn't clear how many of the tribesmen they're going to alienate that are in the area where they're fighting, and they've essentially bought off tribes nearby that fight in Afghanistan but don't attack the Pakistani government directly. So it's going to be quite a while before we know if this offensive really matters.
Is there a danger that the fighting in South Waziristan could spill over into neighboring Afghanistan? And what does the campaign in South Waziristan mean for success in Afghanistan?
Well, I think we have to be very careful about talking about spillover because these people have been fighting in Afghanistan all along. This is a Pakistani attack on a movement which both supports the Taliban in Afghanistan and which is opposed to the Pakistani central government and creates problems for the Pakistani military. And that's why it's so difficult to know, because simply scoring limited tactical gains, killing or wounding or imprisoning a limited number of insurgents, without solving the problem of the political structure, the governance, the economy, often can do more to alienate the local population than intimidate it. And if that happens, it's going to strengthen the attacks on Afghanistan, not weaken them.
Are any of the terrorist groups based in South Waziristan the same as the ones that are attacking American troops in Afghanistan?
Well, I think a lot of these labels have reached the point where nobody knows anymore. There is almost a proliferation of names, but we know from the movements of the groups involved that for years, at least the last 2 years, a lot of the people who operate in Pakistan have operated in Afghanistan and vice versa. These are people who are Pashtuns plus foreign volunteers plus networks, some of them associated with the Afghan Taliban, some with what's called the Pakistani Taliban, but they do not have clear lines, and they do cross the border.
All right, Anthony Cordesman, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.